What is your karmic legacy?
What we do, it's our karma. What others do, it's theirs.
On an all-new Intentional Living with Courtney Meyers, the Unapologetically Abundant Petia Kolibova helps us uncover our path to karmic bliss.
When we are serving others, it's more fulfilling. It's more rich. It always comes around.
Create a karmic space of healing for our children.
We came here knowing what do we want to learn this lifetime. So sometimes we just get to bring it in, live it, experience it. So the next lifetime we don't have it. So we can clear the path for our children
and bring in the abundance that good karma carries with it.
We all have abundance inside of us, but sometimes we really need to activate it, awaken it, come back to your truth, come back to that foundation, to yourself.
On an all-new Intentional Living with Courtney Meyers. Welcome to Intentional Living with Courtney Meyers, a podcast dedicated to those seeking a more fulfilled and purposeful life through thought-provoking conversation, spiritual exploration, and authentic connections. The intentional movement has begun, and if you found yourself here, you are a part of it. Intentional Living with Courtney Meyers starts now. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Intentional Living with Courtney Meyers. I am so honored to have you here back from your maternity leave and snuggles with your baby for a little bit of time with us today. So thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. And like I said, I'm very intentional about what do I invest in my time into. So being here in Intentional Living, like what a better way to be slowly coming back.
It's so great. And I'm really curious actually to jump into some of these things, like being intentional, like living an intuitive life, because now you are a mom. So I feel like things probably are even clicking for you differently. Not only like the intuitive mother side, mothering is such an intuitive act in general. But like, I feel like when you become a mom, it activates our other intuitive senses more. Do you find that like it has connected you even more to your soul? Or do you feel a little bit more, or do you feel like a disconnect because you're so focused on someone else?
I love that question so much. And it's fascinating because I feel like I became even more connected to myself, my intuition, my gifts, and really trusting myself through the pregnancy. Because this is our second pregnancy. I was pregnant last year and we lost our twins. So it really like made me to be even more connected, even more present, and honestly, even more unapologetic. Like when I'm saying yes to something, it has to be truly a heaven yes. It's something that I have been practicing before being pregnant and bringing the baby girl on the earth side. But now it's like, if it's not resonating, if there is some like, I'm not sure, if it's a maybe, it's a no. And it doesn't mean it's like no, never, but not right now. I feel like I'm even more intentional about what I'm investing my time in my relationships, the people I surround myself with. And like I said, like I was practicing this before, but now it's on such a deep, like soul body level, because I truly feel like they've been part of us for months, and now when we're bringing them out, they're not separated. Like even the first 3 months, they don't even know they're a part of us. They don't understand that mommy, it's a separate entity. So she just celebrated 3 months, and she's starting to like realize like, oh, I have hands, and it's so fun to like witness her. But for me, it's just, I don't know if it's because like it's a later motherhood, like I will be 40 now. I am enjoying and soaking it all in so much deeper and looking at the life through lenses like truly like trust and surrender. I feel like it's really powerful because I don't want to waste my time. Like when I do, I invest my time in things. I don't want to waste my time on anything and anyone. And I feel like motherhood, it's such a rebirth and awakening itself. It's such a rite of passage, like nothing else in the world. And I feel like it's really inspiring me to look at, even in my business, not just going through the motion and doing things that are comfortable, but really looking, what do I want to do? How do I want to do it? How do I want to like, lead my team and clients when I know like I want to be with her, So it took me on a deeper path.
Well, I think you said it, and I was thinking it when you said it, and then the words came out of your mouth. It's like a rebirth. You know, you didn't just have a baby. You are different. I mean, I think science even shows like we are different after we have children, like the physical makeup of our body. That doesn't mean we're different at the core. That doesn't mean our spirit's different. That doesn't mean our soul's different, you know, but we have a different perception. We have different senses. We have a different feeling about us. So it is a rebirth. With the birth of your child, you become a new person. So it is interesting to see that. And then you are, like you said, so connected to someone else, and to live through that with them. It just, to me, it heightens your senses, but also makes you unapologetically aware, to use your words, unapologetically aware of what you're doing, what is going on, and what you want in life. I feel like I changed so much after my children. The way I live my life is so different. I am a new person.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, it's interesting enough. Last year, I love buying candles, and I buy like non-toxic, you know, like my house. I used to say my house looks like a cemetery, and my husband, he's like, that's not a good comparison. I was like, okay, let's say that our house looks like a temple because there's like candles everywhere. But last year I bought a candle called Rebirth, and I never used it. I lit it up intentionally on the day of the birthing because we had a home birth, water birth, you know. So I put it on, and it's so interesting, like how our intuition knows. It knows ahead of time. It's preparing us step by step, and it doesn't apply only to motherhood. Like we do have that intuition, and when we're intentional about using it and being present to it, it will always show you the next step. You know, because the overthinking, overanalyzing, overworking, you know, and hassling, it's not going to take you there. But when you can really intentionally connect to yourself, whether it's an hour or whether it's 5 minutes, it's going to make a difference.
Well, how does that work? I mean, you know, that is so true. Our intuition will lead us to something that we don't even realize it's leading us towards. Like that was, you know, so far in advance. Like, how do we tap into those moments to really follow it? Like, how do you show your clients that way to just really let your intuition take the lead?
So there are two parts of that, and I really love this question. So the first part for me is I love using human design. I just love human design, you know, because it's such a beautiful art of knowing yourself, and it's blends like Kabbalah, I Ching, astrology, you know, and all of these things to bring you back into remembering who you came here to be without the conditioning. So I help my clients understand their human design. I work with each of my clients very individually, depending on who they came here to be, what is their blueprint. So that's one part, like get to know yourself, understand what is yours and what do you like pick up through conditioning, whether it's parents, society, environment, like we all get conditioned. So first, like who am I and who did I came here to be, understanding through human design. And then the second part is the somatic work. It's really like going back into your body. It's the embodiment. It's like understanding what do you feel when, you know, so really reconnecting to your intuition. And I have my clients to go either through, you know, meditation or hypnosis or just simple journaling practice where they can just write down the times when their intuition was telling them something. They had the sense, the inner sense of something, to do something or don't do something. And then where did it feel like in your body? It's going to be different for each of us. And human design also, it's, you know, teaching you about like, where is your power? Where is your intuition? Is it in the spleen? Is it in your gut? Is it emotion? So you get to wait. Is it in the moment? Is it with the time? So looking at that, where's your intuition coming from? Where do you feel it? What did it feel like when you listened and it worked out? What do you feel like when you didn't listen and it didn't work out? So I don't tell my clients what to do. I guide them back to themselves so they understand what does it feel like in their bodies. I don't want them to be dependent on me. I want them to be empowered. I work with women who 9 out of 10, they have businesses, they want to be serving others, create more abundance, impact, freedom. They're really not motivated by money. I'm not. I truly believe in richness and abundance of life, and I want my clients to get rich, because the richer we get, the more, good causes we can support. But it's not
Yeah.
the money itself. It's really trusting yourself, creating that inner peace and the richness, and it will influence the outer world, so you can be magnetic and you can be abundantly paid to be yourself.
So, I mean, you're talking about wanting the riches and wanting the abundance comes because you want to serve others, and you have businesses that, you're working with women who want to serve others. Do you find that more abundance comes to you when you're looking at serving, being in service to others?
I feel like it's more fulfilling abundance, because of course there are people who don't care and who don't give a damn about other people, and they still create richness. But is it truly holistic abundance? What I'm teaching is holistic abundance. I want my clients to be happy with their health, with their bodies, in their relationships, with their family, really like going for their dreams, whatever it is. If they want to living in a farm and have a goats, or if they want to be, living in a beautiful beach setting, like, what is your dream? How can you really go for it and create life that is true to you? Like for me, I want to be working, only 2 days a week. I have done it before I had my daughter, and now it's just non-negotiable. So for me, that is true abundance, that I can wake up anytime without alarm. I don't have to drive anywhere, go anywhere. And I live in a beautiful home. I love our home. I'm obsessed with it. I love being in a marriage that I am in now. Second marriage, and like last one, I told my husband, second is the charm in this case. And I am really like inside out fulfilled. I'm happy. If nothing ever changes, I'm happy. Do I want better or more? Yeah, but it's not, I have to have it. So I do believe that when we are serving others, it's more fulfilling. It's more rich. It always comes around. It's so fascinating. Like a little personal story. I did hypnobirthing classes, and I met a girl there that is also from Europe. So we click, we talk. She had her baby girl a couple weeks before me. And, at the beginning, breastfeeding journey, it can be frustrating. My baby girl, she has a lip and tongue tie, so it made it more difficult. I didn't want to have her revised, so it made it a little bit more difficult. But now my breastfeeding, it's fantastic. And I have some excess milk that I freeze. And I was talking to this friend. I'm like, I would like to donate the milk, because I know how frustrating and painful it is when you cannot feed your baby. And I personally, it's like, I'm not judging it, but I don't believe in formulas. There is nothing like mother's milk. There is nothing like breast milk. Of course, there are cases you can't physically, but I feel like if you do have the proper support and lactation specialists, the body, it's miraculous. It can do it. So I was telling my husband, oh, honey, I want to donate milk. And he was like, why don't you sell it? Why don't you make more money? And I was telling this to my friend, and she was like, this is so sacred. When you give, it comes around. Imagine your family will need, or your baby girl will need something in the future. You already created a good karma for her. And it's such a beautiful way to look at it, because what we do, it's our karma. What others do, it's theirs. So it's really beautiful. I know it's expanded, the answer of your question. I do believe it's richer when we serve. And those are the type of women that I attract. They want to help, they want to serve, they want to create freedom, and not just the financial, but really the freedom and health and well-being for themselves and their families.
So I'm curious about this whole concept of karma. So are we creating our karma as we are living this life, or are we experiencing karmic experiences from our past? What do you think in that terms?
I love that, and I love we are going there, because for me, I feel like we come with a karma
Yeah.
from the past experiences. I do believe in past lives. I do believe in reincarnation. I do believe that soul, it's energy, and energy cannot be destroyed. So where
Hmm.
else would it go? So I do believe that. And I also feel like there are some people who are such a good people. They have such a good heart, and they have troubles, or they don't have a good
Yeah.
health, or, so I feel like sometimes we really get to look deeper than what just is. And, I'm a certified breathwork practitioner. So I do
Mhm.
breathwork with my clients, and I find it the most amazing modality. Breathwork and inner dance, which inner dance, it's a Kundalini activation process. And those two modalities, they're somatic work. And I feel like through that work, we can go really deeper. And I had it happen several times. My clients traveled through their past times, past lives. They were able to
Yeah.
see what happened, why they're struggling with money now, why they're having toxic relationships now, because they're like, I know here. I am like doing
Hmm.
the right thing. And it just doesn't have the right results. Sometimes you get to also like untangle the past lives and just make a peace with that.
So can we change our karmic past by doing these works? Because I agree. I think breath work is amazing. I did some breathwork training myself to be able to facilitate it. And during that training, they take you through the activations and we go through it. And seriously, I had some of my biggest
Yeah.
breakthroughs during that,
Yeah.
like going through breathwork. It was like aha moments. I know I healed myself in so many ways. Like my children are here today because of that. I know I healed myself during that breathwork session. It was like, it was so massive. And so I cannot recommend breathwork enough. I don't do it enough. Like it is so amazing. So can we use that to actually go back and heal any karmic, I don't even want to call them curses, any karmic baggage, let's call it baggage, karmic baggage we're carrying with us?
What I'm intuitively, what's coming up, it's yes and no. Because
Mm,
I feel that our souls have contracts. They
yeah.
have who they're meant to be interacting with, what they're meant to be experiencing. And we came here knowing what do we want to learn this lifetime. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we just get to bring it in, live it, experience it. So the next lifetime we don't have it. So we can clear the path for our children. My husband, he did clearing of his like lineage. We used to live in Mexico for 1 year, and almost in the end of our journey, 3 weeks before we were supposed to be traveling home, he did some karmic cleaning and like generational cleaning. And he learned that like his great grandpa, there was a murder in a family and it was never resolved. And so that's why the man in his family like struggle with health issues and things like that. So we were clearing it. And what happened is the next day, funny enough, it was 10/10, 10/10,
Mm-hmm.
2022.
Mm-hmm.
Magical day, which I will never, I don't know if I call it, it's magical day, like a number wise, but not so magical. We were robbed like on a gunpoint, and two guys assaulted us. One had a like knife on me, and other one has a gun to my husband's head. And it was so fascinating because it was very challenging. Like nothing happened to us, but I felt like I couldn't trust others. I didn't feel safe. I didn't want to be in Mexico anymore. It was very challenging for both of us. What we have also learned through that experience, that when you're clearing things, it brings them in here. There's no
Oh,
coincidences. Because in
yeah.
his past lineages, there was a murder, and it was like cleared and being resolved as we were attacked. We were not hurt, but we cleared a path for our children because the end was different. Yeah.
Oh, so it's almost like rewrite. So you're bringing that in to rewrite the story. So whether
Yes.
we're bringing in or we need to experience it for whatever lessons that we need to do, or we can like essentially rewire what happened so our children don't deal with that.
Exactly. Yep.
Wow, that's fast. That is so fascinating. And I love that you can go back and like heal these generational things? Like, do we all have that generational like work that we can do? Do you believe that we can go back and, or some people more just, because the way I've heard it described is sometimes we're just here as like players in someone else's story. Maybe we're sometimes like the villain in someone else's story or a supporting character in another person's story to help them through their soul journey in this lifetime. We're not all like doing that work in every single lifetime, or are we?
I feel like it's such a beautiful question, and I do agree with what you say that sometimes we just come here to be the puzzle piece in someone else's journey. I feel like everyone is influenced by everyone. You know what I mean? Like we
Mm-hmm.
are like the thing, like we're all one, like everything is being
Yeah.
influenced by everything, so who you're being is influencing other, and it's influencing this world. That's why when they're doing like mass meditations, it is influencing, the
Mm-hmm.
world, the vibration. And I do feel that there is always healing work to do, whether we like it or not. And it doesn't have to be like traumatic or big or murders and things like that.
Yeah.
It can be as simple, and it's so funny. It can be as simple as, like your grandparents like forcing you to eat something because they're coming from war and scarcity, and it traumatizes
Yeah.
you, and you don't have a good relationship with your body and with your health. So I feel like when we can really look at that, it's really, really powerful. When we can see
Mm-hmm.
like what can be healed, what can be cleared.
Mm-hmm. Can we look at that from, maybe it's not as close as like your grandparents, but like what we're drawn to? If we're talking about past lives, like different eras or different things that we're drawn to, can that shed light on things that may need to be healed? Because like, I was born in California, but I have a love for French culture and English culture and like the royalty. And, it feels like I was there in those times. Like there's something about it that is so drawn, like that I've been so drawn to. Like, I mean, even speaking of Mexico, I grew up in San Diego, where everyone, you had to take a second language in school, and everyone took Spanish. I took French. I went to college, and it was my second major because, like I should have been, it would make a lot more sense for me to take Spanish, but I didn't. And so I feel like there's parts of us that are like so drawn to different areas because of past lives. But on another side, can we use what we're drawn to help us focus on what we need to heal in this life?
Absolutely. I really feel, and this is going back to that intuition and intentionality. There's
Mm-hmm.
no coincidences. When you're drawn to something, when you're curious about something, like you get to learn, follow that curiosity. I always bring my clients back into, like part of the child, like inner child healing, I feel like it's so important to look at that. What are you curious about? Bringing in back the childlike wonder instead of like judging it and being like logical. Like you said, I grew up in San Diego. I should learn Spanish. It would be more
Exactly.
logical versus French. But I don't think it's all about logic. It's about the experience and trusting, and it doesn't even have to be part of a healing. It can be part of what you get to experience, and the remembrance of the past, and how can you use it. And maybe it's just for enjoyment. It doesn't have to be healing and deep and dark. It can be just for enjoyment and remembering you're the queen, you're the royalty, and
Yeah.
treating yourself differently. Maybe that's why your soul is showing you like just bits and pieces to remember what is important for you to remember and know this lifetime.
I love that. I think because we talk a lot on the show about, how to connect to who we are on the inside and connecting to our inner self. And I use intuition in that a lot. But I love that you're bringing it back to this remembering, because at the core, we just need to remember where we start. And it doesn't necessarily always need to be these heavy topics. Like it doesn't mean we're always going to be held up at gunpoint, like you said, to clear that generational curse. Maybe it's because your parents made you clean your plate. So I think that's really fascinating to take us into that zone of remembrance. And how do we begin to do that? Like, how do we begin to remember who we are?
I would say it's very personalized because there is not like one way of doing things. You get to ask
Mm-hmm.
yourself, like, what resonates with me the deepest? Is it speaking things out loud? Is it journaling? Is it through meditation? Is it through breath work? Is it through guided meditation? Is it through being in nature and in silence and being in your own energy, in your own aura? Like, what resonates with you the most? How do ideas come to you? How things come to you? So really
Mm.
look into that and find your own way of how you can remember, because it's just, again, it's about the intention. I desire to see, I desire to remember. You can ask that yourself before you go into the sleep state, and your subconscious mind can show you things. You can reconnect things. And like I said, I really love somatic work. So doing breath work, doing inner dance, doing things that you can go deeper, because it really passes the conscious mind. It can go to the subconscious and just go into deeper layers. That I feel like it's really powerful. I feel like it's the fast way.
Mm. So how does human design work with that? Because I'm just being introduced to human design a little bit, and it's fascinating to me. And how does that work with that intuitive state and going into the subconscious? Because it feels like it's more of like a layout and a blueprint. So it feels less subconscious and more like here and now, right in front of you.
Yes, and I feel like human design, it's a little bit more masculine and a little bit more logical. It's more of like the
Yeah.
understanding. It's a little bit more of like
Mm-hmm.
understanding. But when you look at it, it's also like going back to the remembrance. Remember who you came here to be. Remember what is your truth. Remember to trust your intuition. Remember how you operate in the world. I'm a sacral generator 5-1. So my truth, it's in the moment, it's in the now. My husband is emotional manifesting generator. He's doing a million things at the same time, like a crazy squirrel, jumping from one to another thing. And he needs time. His truth, it's never in the moment. He has to feel into things. It has to be the right feeling for him. So for me, like I do this with all of my clients, even when women like schedule abundance activation call with me that I open up like after my maternity leave, I always look at their human design, because I want to speak
Mm-hmm.
to them, their language. I want to really see them and understand them, who they come here to be, and just like move the way a little bit on the side for them. So I feel like breathwork, it's more somatic and healing and the layers.
Mm-hmm.
And human design, I usually like starting with the human design just so we can like remind you what is yours and what is conditioning. Like my mom, it's manifester, and manifestors, they don't have like so much energy. They initiate the things, and then they need to take a nap. And my mom, she's always like go, 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 go. She's been conditioned to be a generator all her life. So then she's angry, then she's frustrated. And so when you can really look at who you came here to be, it gives you the permission to tap into that. And then you can go deeper in a healing. Then you can do the somatic work. Then you can understand, even when you do the somatic work, what gets to be released? What gets to be picked up back?
That's so interesting. So we can use human design to help remove the conditioning that has been placed upon us from society, parents, environment, all that good stuff. I mean, it sounds like it's such a key to healing that inner child. And honestly, it sounds like the key to unlocking that remembrance.
Yes. Yes, I believe so. It truly helps me. I'm studying human design for almost 6 years, and I'm just literally scratching a surface. It helped me tremendously in my own healing, in my relationship, in attracting even more abundance, feeling more fulfilled and satisfied. And what's better? Like, what's better when you're feeling fulfilled and satisfied? Because then again, you're going back into being your true self, and people want that. People want to connect.
Mm-hmm.
People want to, like, it's like it doesn't matter what you say, what you do, but how you make people feel, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so people can really feel you and they can feel your energy. And if you're not being true to yourself, even if it's conditioning, it doesn't have to mean that you're lying or you're faking it, but
Yeah.
you're being conditioned, then it's really challenging for people to connect with you on a deeper level. So when I'm working with my soulmate clients, they heard me on a podcast or summit, or they, like find my Instagram. They're like, I just felt drawn to you. I just felt like I get to talk to you. I just felt like it's the feeling. It's not like, oh, I was thinking about like, you will help me to get the 10, 50K, whatever months, right? It was a feeling that they were drawn to, and you get to like remove those layers and do the healing so you can, one, be who you came here to be this lifetime, but two, create really fulfilling experience.
Well, I feel like then we are all really relying on our intuition so much more than we give ourselves credit for. If we are being drawn to a certain person or a certain business or different things in our life we are drawn to, that is because it is the way we feel, which in turn means that we are relying on our intuition. Because a lot of people will say, well, I'm not intuitive, or I don't have these hits, or I don't know, but we all are.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. We just get to really recognize that.
So what is, you were talking about it, so what is abundance light activation?
So that means that you are coming back into like being activated, being in your truth, being in that pure, really energy. And I feel like we all have abundance inside of us, but sometimes we really need to activate it, awaken it, come back to your truth, come back to that foundation to yourself.
Well, if we want to book an abundance light activation call with you, how do we go about doing that? How do we find you? How do we find ourselves drawn to you and your work?
I love being on Instagram. That's my favorite place to be. So my unpronounceable name, Petia Kolibova, or my podcast, Unapologetically Abundant podcast. And, the link to, I will share with you the link to schedule the free abundance activation call. And it's also on my Instagram and also on my website.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. I know you have to get back to your baby girl. She needs her mama, and I'm so happy that you got to take a little bit of your time away today to talk to us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Courtney, for today and for everything you're doing.
And that's it for today's Intentional Living with Courtney Meyers. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you, Petia Kolibova, for joining me in such a great discussion about reconnecting to who we came here to be, remembering who we are, and activating our light abundance. If you want to work with Petia, I'll put all the information of how to get in touch with her in the show notes below. And as always, you can find Intentional Living with Courtney Meyers and Intentional Media on our website at CourtneyMyers.com. That's where you'll find our books, our courses, and everything else we have going on. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.